What is going on, everybody? It is episode 866 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I'm here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary, and hello to anyone who may be tuning in at my encouragement from Timcast IRL last night. I hope it wasn't too spicy and savage and crazy.
Wait, what did you say?
You know, I don't know. I always seem to say something that people think is racist, and I just... Like, I don't even think that I'm taking anything that far. But I was talking a little bit of smack about Vivek Ramaswamy, which a lot of people didn't like. I just said that he has weird vibes and people don't like him.
I mean, maybe the issue there is, like, you're just talking to the wrong audience because everybody was really mad at him after the H-1B visa mishgas. But everybody forgot already.
We conveniently forgot about that, but I didn't forget about it. I just said that him and Zoran, they just have the same vibe, and I don't like it.
I guess. I mean, I didn't really think of it that way. I did, like, when I was on IRL on Wednesday, I pointed out, I said the Eminem singing should have ended his career, but that's in a just world. But, you know, if you care about politics and you actually look at the two, one is successful in business, one is a leech off the public. But I get what you're saying.
Well, some people would dispute Vivek's business success. I don't know many of the details about it, but I'm just saying, like, not a likable person. So that was the main thing that people objected to last night. But for the most part, I think the guest was getting a lot of heat. There was actually a caller in the after show who started immediately insulting this guy's intelligence and saying, no one wants to listen to you talk. I'm going to ask a question, but it's a rhetorical question. I don't want you to answer it. No one wants to hear what you have to say. And I was like, bro, shut up. Like, you're the one calling into the show, and he's on it.
Yeah, that's rude. Plus, the whole point of the show is Tim loves when he has guests with disparate opinions that disagree with him. Tim doesn't want less of that. Tim wants more of that.
Right, but the caller was just like, I don't know, just calling in to be snarky. I didn't agree with the guy on a lot of things either. It's just, like, not that serious. We have a 20 from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Friday and Solemnity of the Sacred Heart, Brett and Mary. Mary called Miss Rachel the Antichrist last night, so I had to meme it. I watched Miss Rachel for 20 seconds to get footage, and Mary is right. I was scared. Yeah, she really has this way about her, this demeanor where she's talking to the babies at home, and they fully believe that Miss Rachel is their mother.
Yeah, I mean,
'cause they watch her for hours.
What's the difference between that and people who liked Mr. Rogers other than support for Gaza?
Screen time.
Screen time.
The difference is screen time.
Fair enough. Guys, hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. As Mary said, if you came here from last night's episode of IRL, you should hit the subscribe button. And then what you should do after that is share the video and the live stream and the segments out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people in your life that you both love and hate in equal measure. I would like you to go into the comments section after you share it with people that you deeply dislike and then argue with them about the content. It increases our engagement and it helps us. It's part of my evil master plan. Also, I would like you guys after the show, if you're watching live, to go and check out my review for the brand new movie F1 the Movie. It's not called F1. It's called F1 the Movie.
That's so annoying.
But it's I won't give it away, but I think the review is worth watching, and I have a lot to say on the matter, and I really, really enjoyed it. But go ahead and check that out. It was good. I want to see more movies like this. So.
I don't know what's going on, if this is a Mandela effect or what, but people are pointing out in the chat that everyone suddenly has an @ symbol before their username.
I don't know. It's showing up in the
I guess
in the
that's
Superchats.
a new thing YouTube has just implemented, and I hate it. I agree with all of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it in the super chats that are showing up on
screen.
It's
dehumanizing.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
Guys, so again, hit the like button in the video, subscribe to the channel. What are we talking about today? Well, we are going to get into this beef between Joe Rogan and Liver King, which I didn't know existed until the other day. And apparently Joe Rogan barely knows it's going on. He had to file a police report because this guy is having a one-sided discussion with
Liver
Joe
King
Rogan.
is like, you ruined my life. And Joe Rogan is like, I don't even know who you are.
So we were going to talk about that. And speaking of other, like you could say that seems like stalking, and somebody else who's got a stalker right now is Dua Lipa. It's the scary side of being a pop star. I would not want to be a famous person and have to deal with people like that. It's absolutely crazy. We're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about Sabrina Carpenter, who seems to be like the scapegoat for a frustrated society. We'll let you in on more of it then. I want to skirt the YouTube censors for the time being. I don't know what words will trigger the frigidity. The prudishness of modern culture is being laid at her feet.
The journalist take is that Sabrina Carpenter is the placeholder or the scapegoat for frigidity and repression in American culture, which is so funny because I look around and I'm like, where is all of this repression?
We're going to talk about it.
It's a mystery.
We're going to talk about it. And also, since Mary has been on a one-woman jihad against fashion lately, we are going to talk about Gen Z fashion trends that are absolutely awful.
Yeah. Some that I've already talked about before, some that are newer. There's kind of a never-ending list. Okay. And it's funny because Gen Z pretends that they're so unique and they have all these original ideas. None of them are original ideas.
All right. Well, then if you're ready, we'll just get started. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So, look, the James Bond franchise hasn't been in the best shape since the release of No Time to Die back in 2021. Between the purchase of Amazon, the creative control being wrestled away from the original MGM owners, and everything that entails, there has been an ongoing debate about who is going to play James Bond in the upcoming film. Aaron Taylor Johnson was at one point seemingly to be considered the one. Now we're not even sure if that's true, but there is one bit of really, really good news going forward for the upcoming Amazon James Bond film, and that is they have gotten visionary director Denis Villeneuve. As you guys know, Sicario is one of my favorite films of all time. He also did Blade Runner 2049, Dune Part 1 and 2. He has been brought on to direct this film, and he is a lifelong James Bond fan, and I don't think you could ask for a better director to head up this operation.
Well, I only know that I disliked Dune Part 2, and that's not really because he did anything wrong with it. I just have poor taste.
No.
I must be lacking media literacy.
So let's go through a little bit. I've got thoughts on this. Most of it is like my wish fulfillment on how they would go about making this film, which I'm sure they won't be able to do. It depends on how much they're going to spend on this movie. Also, they're saying that it's not going to be coming out until at least 2028, given the size and scope of the project. I do wonder what that means for Dune 3.
Are they signing on Denis Villeneuve for several
Looks
at
like just
once,
one.
or just the first of the next 3 or 4?
Just the first, I'm guessing. So far, doing more than that wouldn't be likely for someone like that. There was a time where you might get the same director back.
Yeah.
But for instance, one of my other suggestions was they bring back Martin Campbell, who launched both the Daniel Craig and the Pierce Brosnan eras of James Bond. He directed both GoldenEye, and then he didn't direct another one until Casino Royale, and there was an 11-year gap between those films.
I just think, and it's funny because Christopher Nolan was one of the directors that they wanted for this project. They should do it the way that the Dark Knight trilogy was done. For the sake of continuity and a unified vision, and this is defining an entire era of the character and the franchise.
That wasn't even planned as a trilogy, though. They brought him on for one movie, and then it just kind of became a trilogy. I was like literally watching like these retrospectives of the Nolan era. Like they weren't even necessarily sure that it was going to get a sequel after Batman Begins, because Batman Begins didn't do nearly as well at the box office as they wanted it to. But the thing is, before we get into it, that was actually one of my ideas here. So I wanted Denis Villeneuve to be involved. The other thing is I want Roger Deakins involved as the cinematographer. He did Skyfall for them, but he's also worked with Denis Villeneuve multiple times. He did Sicario, and he also did Blade Runner 2049. He's the guy who did 1917. He's a very, very, very well-known cinematographer in Hollywood. He hasn't worked since 2022. Maybe I'm not plugged in. I don't know if maybe something's...
I really liked 1917.
So he's that. And then what I was thinking about, everybody talked about Christopher Nolan, but it's Jonathan Nolan who had his name in the ring to direct this film. I think they should bring him on as the writer for this movie, because he wrote the screenplay for both The Dark Knight and The Prestige, and he was the creator and did a lot of the writing for Person of Interest, which has a lot of spy elements, especially in the first 3 seasons. And there's a lot of influence in those characters and the way that he writes. I would like to see all of them involved. I don't think they could afford even Amazon, I don't think, could afford to get all 3 of them involved.
Oh, no, they can afford it. It's just, are they willing?
Yeah. So this is what it says. This was Amazon's... oh, by the way, they mentioned it earlier. It says Amazon MGM Studios has revealed that he's brought on with producer Tanya LaPointe. That's his wife. His wife is Tanya LaPointe, who's been brought on to produce this movie. Some of my earliest movie-going memories are connected to 007. I grew up watching James Bond films with my father ever since Dr. No with Sean Connery. I'm a diehard Bond fan. To me, he's sacred territory, he said. Remember, I said this like a year or 2 ago. I said, characters like James Bond or characters like Batman, directors should essentially be anointed. And my point was that it shouldn't be Marvel. You shouldn't be bringing in TV directors and filmmakers to make your properties. You should find visionary directors who have a large, very, very proven track record in the industry to bring on to shepherd these projects forward. I do like your idea of bringing him on for more than one film, but I think the thing is, for a guy like him, he's in such demand that he's going to want to do other things as well.
We also have a 20 from Tim Hart 961. Mary, beautiful as always. Thank you. Hi, Brett. The new James Bond movie will be titled Why the Ceiling Bird Sings.
It's so funny. I wonder, like, they're kind of running out of names with die in the name, right? Die, time to die.
Oh, I mean, they'll come up with something.
So one thing that he mentions that he's a lifelong Bond fan, but his 2 favorite movies are recent films, which are Skyfall, which is, like I said, he's worked with cinematographer Roger Deakins before, and he also likes Casino Royale, which are modern, the more modern interpretations of the franchise. He didn't list like the Connery era or the Dalton era. He kept it with original, newer versions of the film. And the thing is Skyfall has fantastic cinematography, and he doesn't get into Spectre, which is in my mind like the most boring of the modern era of James Bond films. It was the one with Batista in it, and it just feels like it takes forever to get to the end of the movie, and it's
I don't
super
care
boring.
for Dave Bautista. He seems to have a lack of charisma.
It's kind of his bag.
Having no charisma?
he's definitely not as good as John Cena.
Yeah.
Yeah, like John Cena is definitely better. Look, I want to see them bring a more refined classic interpretation of the character back, meaning that when they brought on Martin Campbell to do 007 in 2006, they went with a more grounded, realistic approach to the character. I hate that. I don't want a grounded, realistic approach to the character. I want gadgets. I want him like fixing his tie as stuff blows up in the background. I want him to be able to hire somebody who can embody the kind of suave but angry tone that Brosnan was able to master, especially in the later versions of that film. And one of the complaints about Blade Runner 2049 was that it had too much fan service and that it was more focused on on style rather than substance.
I can't tell you a single thing that happened in Blade Runner 2049.
But the point is James Bond can work with that formula because it is formulaic. It isn't necessarily in need of a ton of substance. James Bond thrives on formula, hitting all of the notes that the character has to hit so that you recognize that it's James Bond. He has to go see M. He has to see Money. He has to flirt with Moneypenny. He has to fix his tie, martini, shaken, not stirred. Like, all of these things don't really require a whole lot of depth. And I definitely don't want to see some stupid origin story that explains why he likes martinis. Which would be very, very stupid. But then we have to get into the whole debate. Oh, and like I said before, they are looking for 2028. So we've got 3 years before we see this. And they do want to cast an actor under 30.
Under 30?
Under 30.
I thought under 35.
So if they want...
Oh my gosh.
If they wanted...
This is ridiculous.
If they want this guy on for 10 to 15 years... They want somebody who's not going to look old by the end. Now, me and you both know that that's not what's actually going to happen. They're going to look fine by the end of it. But I don't know. Like, a lot of names are getting dropped.
This is ridiculous because there are no actors under 30 today that fit the bill. There just aren't.
This was also really funny. It said that they really, really wanted to hire Christopher Nolan, but he's never going to sign on to a movie unless he gets final cut on the film. And Amazon's going to be like, oh no, there's not enough product placement. The BMW logo needs to be more visible. The Aston Martin logo needs to be more visible. We need product placement and stuff like that. You know how that they think at these tech companies turned movie studios. Though, to be fair, I loved F1. That was apparently an Apple movie. I felt dirty just watching it. I was watching the movie and I'm like, oh my God, I like an Apple movie.
Were they doing product placement?
No.
For Apple?
I mean, no, there's so much product placement in that movie because all of the other race teams are real race teams like Red Bull and Porsche and Ferrari.
How do you do product placement in a James Bond movie?
Like I said, the cars are the number one. Like every movie, because one of the big things was it was the Aston Martin, but then when Pierce Brosnan signed on, they switched to BMW, so you'd see the BMW front and center in the films. I definitely don't want to see like Microsoft monitor logos on the back of computers. They should be using the hologram screens. But who would you hire then if you were to? They list a lot of names here.
Well,
of course,
they listed the under 30s first.
Yeah,
Jacob Elordi.
We got that one in the...
Jacob Elordi isn't... Are they saying that he has to be British?
Yeah. No, just European.
Jacob Elordi is American. Tom Holland.
He could do it. I don't want him to. He doesn't have the hair for it.
Okay, can is not the same thing as should, because he's a twink. Harris Dickinson is also on a lot of these lists.
So is Taron Egerton.
Who?
Taron Egerton.
I don't know if I've even
he's
seen
from
him before.
He's from Kingsman. He was in that movie Carry On. I reviewed Carry On. Carry On was a lot of fun last year. Richard Madden's on this list. He should be disqualified because of Citadel. That was Citadel.
I'd only heard of Harris Dickinson because he was the love interest to Nicole Kidman in that A24 movie Baby Girl. So
one of the reasons I think Richard Madden is a possibility, even though I think he's too old by the under 30 statistic, is that he did Citadel, which was Amazon, and a lot of times they like working with people they know are easy to work with and can carry a role.
They're working with Henry Cavill. And I've been saying I don't really care how old he is, just give the fans what they want.
Robert Pattinson, another person who worked with Nolan for Tenet, which puts him in kind of the same category.
That could be okay. It's just jarring because in real life, Robert Pattinson is such a goofball.
I know.
It's hard to picture him playing a serious character like that. And they're still trying to make Idris Elba happen.
Aaron Pierre, it says, easily the most recent prominent rumor was being considered for Bond. He was in Rebel Ridge on Netflix. He's got the charisma and is actually English. He's also going to be Green Lantern for the DCU's Lanterns TV show. I still think Regé Jean Page is on the outset in the running for something like this, even though I don't think he should play the character. But they listed a lot of names in all of these different... Aaron Taylor Johnson is still up there. I still think that he's also probably too old now.
Well, if he's too old, maybe they should just put him in and then make
Gibson
his wife
Is
the
Patrick
Bond
Gibson
girl.
a redhead? Because if so, I don't know if people will accept it.
That was the first thing I noticed. I was like, are we ready as a culture for a
redheaded
ginger James Bond?
Well,
but I think that would be a huge
But the
shift.
thing is
I actually now I'm like pro ginger Bond.
So that was actually a big talking point when Daniel Craig got brought in, because they're like, whoa, a blonde James Bond. He's dirty blonde.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't even...
He didn't have dark hair.
That doesn't even
that
count.
was a very big talking point when he got hired. Henry Cavill, I know people want him. It's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen because they're stupid. It would make money if they just cast him and let it go.
James Norton, Harris Dickinson, this guy should not be playing. He should be playing Q. If he's
Why are you against Harris Dickinson as Bond?
He doesn't have the face for it. He's got nerdy computer guy energy, not spy energy. Callum Turner looks like a bad guy. Doesn't look like he'd play a good guy. Josh O'Connor, no.
This Aaron Pierre guy looks girly.
Yeah. I still think that they're gonna.
Do you see? Pull up that picture of Aaron Pierre.
I had it.
He's in the Forbes article. He looks girly. Look at his face.
I mean, he kind of looks like what's his name? Omari, the dude from Power.
And you know, if they race swap, people are gonna check out. It's just true.
Oh yeah.
Just don't do the stupid thing that you know not to do.
And they did that. What they did is in the most recent James Bond video game, they did not race swap James Bond, but a lot of the other characters have been race swapped. I believe M and Moneypenny, some others. But the point is people smell it coming a mile away now. They check out. And the thing is, they did race swap Moneypenny in the most recent James Bond franchise because they had, what was it, Naomi Harris playing Moneypenny in those films. And I never got the feeling that they had like great chemistry together as actors. It felt very, when they did the scene where she like gives him a shave with a straight razor, I'm like, they both look like they'd rather be anywhere but where they are right now.
A lot of people were saying that Margaret Qualley should be the next Bond girl because she did a tribute performance.
I mean, I don't even know if there will be such thing as a Bond girl. That's something that should be there, but society these days, maybe
they have to pick somebody.
No, but the thing is maybe the vibe shift is, but the thing is, you don't consider, like, people don't think of Ana de Armas as a Bond girl the way they thought of Isabella Skrupko from GoldenEye as a Bond girl. Like, meaning that in today's day and age, they don't treat them the same way that they did back then because there was the whole idea that you can't have Bond girls because it's sexist and demeaning to women.
What look and vibe does she need to have?
It's not about the look or the vibe, it's about how the writing goes. So they have to be written like a Bond girl. They can't be just another spy like James Bond.
It's going to be Daisy Edgar Jones.
Oh, please no. I don't know who it will be, but just
it's going to be Dakota Johnson.
At the very least, they've got a good director. I think they should take my advice and hire Roger Deakins to do the cinematography and hire Jonathan Nolan to write it. And I think that would be fantastic. But it will be interesting because this will be the first one where a member of the Broccoli family isn't involved in any way. And that's going to be very, very indicative of what it's going to look like going forward. Because if it fails, they can't really justify continuing, right? Like if they dump $400 million into a James Bond movie and it bombs at the box office, it's dead in the water. It's over before it starts, and then they have to recast.
You know what? F it. Just Timothy Chalamet and Dakota Johnson.
I'm down. Let's go.
I would actually watch that because it's so bizarre.
I wouldn't watch it, but we'll wait and see. All right, let's move on.
The last time that we discussed Liver King on the show was a couple of years back when fans discovered that he was, in fact, taking steroids surreptitiously while giving health advice to his following, including eating animal organs raw. Liver King is more than a fitness influencer, though. I think he's trying to become a thought leader, a visionary, a revolutionary of sorts. And he appears to be going through a full-on mental breakdown right now, like in a public way. He has made threats against Joe Rogan, Seth Rogen, and others so far.
Do you think he just doesn't know the difference?
No. Yeah, I think he's so...
like Rogan.
Genuinely, I think he's so deep into a delusional, like, schizophrenic breakdown that he actually doesn't know reality from fiction anymore.
Maybe it's one of those things where, like, you know, like when you look up someone's name on social media, the most famous person with that last name, he spelled Rogan wrong once, and now Seth Rogen comes up every time.
So on Monday, Liver King posted a couple of videos to his Instagram, essentially challenging Joe Rogan to a physical fight, and announced his plans to travel to Austin, Texas to square up with Rogan.
Here we go.
Man to man. This was the first of them.
Joe Rogan, I'm calling you out. My name's Liver King. Man to man.
What is going on with his belly button?
I'm gonna fight with you. Yeah.
This is scary. Why is anyone built like this?
Why is he listening to that music? That's the real question.
I have zero training in jiu-jitsu. You're a black belt. You should dismantle me. But I'm picking a fight with you. You can't pick a fight with a real king and then expect there not to be an actual fight, bro.
But he didn't pick a fight with an actual king. He didn't even pick a fight with a Liver King.
He seems to think that Joe Rogan started their beef. No pun intended. But this is entirely one-sided. I'm not even sure Joe Rogan was aware of Liver King's existence before this went down. He followed it up
I'm sure
with,
he knew exactly who. I'm sure he's talked about Liver King on his show.
We have a 20 from Don't Ask a Damn Thing. Why the ceiling bird sings is what black people say when their smoke alarm goes off.
Well, they're not calling the James Bond movie that
no.
is for sure.
Liver King also posted another challenge to Joe Rogan the same day where he was crawling up to the camera like a wild animal
This one here.
Yeah, let's take a look.
There's a 20 before we do that.
From Ezek, not an expert on the matter, but the Liver King's pupils and scabs on his face scream meth to me. There's a lot about this situation that screams meth. That is correct. Okay, let's watch this one.
No wonder he's in a calorie deficit.
This is insane.
Everything. Because Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore. All of this is happening. We're coming to you. I've challenged you man to man to a fight. Honorable. And we don't have to pretend or make any videos. The world is watching. They'll make the videos for us. And you don't have to hold a camera. You can hold the hand of somebody that you love, because what happens next to you, you're going to need to remember that feeling. You're going to need something more than what you did to give you something to fight for, because I have my family to fight for. And then I'll die for them, you know that. And you're a black belt, but you've never come across something like this, willing to die, hoping that you'll choke me out. I pray to God, because that's a dream come true. It feels good. And then the limbs, I'm fighting for my family. So limb.
Okay, we have another 20 from Tim Hart. HGH causes internal organs to grow too. That's why his abdomen looks like that. Gross and disrespectful. I mean, I would say him displaying his body is gross and disrespectful. Me pointing out that it looks weird is not gross and disrespectful. And there's a lot that's gross and disrespectful about the content that he was posting on Monday, directed at Joe Rogan. He's saying he's ready to fight for his family, as if Joe Rogan posed some kind of threat to his family, which is
the idea here that like
unfounded.
he's got kids that listen to Joe Rogan and he thinks they're he's a bad influence on them.
I do
is
not
Joe
know.
Rogan holding his family hostage in a cellar below his studio? Maybe it's below his comedy club.
We are long past the original downfall of Liver King from 2 years back, and his ridiculous apology to his followers.
He said something about wanting to be choked out. So he's
expressing
autoerotic asphyxiation.
Well, it seems like he has a death wish. Yeah. Okay, that's what's disturbing about it. He seems like someone who's expressing that he has nothing to lose.
I remember vaguely Joe Rogan being like, you don't look like this without steroids. Like there's no, like before
he got called out,
yeah,
and eventually had to admit to what he was doing. But yeah, then following the posts on Instagram earlier this week, the Austin Police Department responded to these threats and charged him without incident of terroristic threat. Now his mugshot is making the rounds, and everyone is wondering how this even started.
How old is Liver King? Do we know? I don't know how old the Liver King is. I imagine to be a king, you got to be at least a little old. Thank you. Like, you don't just become a king overnight.
Thank you, guys. He is 47. What about Joe Rogan?
He's in his 50s, right?
I mean, Liver King is just standing on business. He's just, say what you will, but he's standing on business. And he was arrested and detained, but then promptly released on bail in Texas after posting a $20,000 bond. And what followed is a mandatory mental health evaluation, as well as a restraining order. He's not allowed to be within 200 yards of Joe Rogan. However, he probably is still in Austin, Texas at the moment. And ever since he got released from jail, he's been nonstop posting on Instagram additional unhinged videos, making more threats. Barstool Sports said he is using the power of his ancestral ankle monitor to post 16 unhinged videos, and also challenged Seth Rogen to fight second.
I like the idea that he got to 15. He's like, nah, more.
Yeah, yeah. So let's take a look at the video that he posted after getting released from jail.
But Rogan versus Liver King, again, it's not what you think. I'm talking about the filmmaker, the funny, the actual genius comedian, good and true. That guy's good and true. I'll pick a funny fight with him. So we're gonna go there for that reason. But 200 yards, restrain myself I must do. If anybody, here's how we do it.
Yoda.
If anybody's last name is Rogan, and you're in the capital of Austin, Texas, like Capitol Hill stuff place, like where they make laws, like Rogan versus Liver King, where bullies that are big, that don't just do good and true, are held accountable. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. So if you don't mind, just don't be there for a little while, within 200 yards. Oh, how about this? If your first name starts with a J and the last name is Rogan, announce yourself.
Some guy named John Rogan is like, bro, come on.
If you're at Capitol.
He's obviously detached from reality. And we're laughing.
It seems like drugs. If it's not a psychotic break, he's doing drugs and staying up for days at a time, and
it's both. It's got to be both. It's got to be some mix of both. People are saying this could be related to meth or LSD. He definitely talks like someone who's absolutely fried his brain with psychedelic drugs. Which isn't surprising at all.
I mean, I'm not seeing psychedelics here. I'm seeing stimulants and uppers and, maybe just to hit the gym a little bit harder. Yeah. Along with the TRT and the HGH.
Okay, who would win? 100 gorillas or one Liver King?
I mean, I think the gorillas would win. Unless, of course, he had his ancestral hat.
I don't know. I saw his gorilla run on all fours, and I'm wondering, maybe the adrenaline high.
Serial killer said dude skipped brain day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you have to make extra room for legs 3 times a week, then
like, I don't feel bad about laughing. It just is funny. It's objectively funny, but it is kind of sad because he does have a wife and children who probably are watching all of this in close quarters as he's losing his mind in real time.
Yeah, it's sad to watch. I mean,
his wife was actually in the video of his arrest getting cuffed by the Austin police, so it seems like she traveled there with him, which I don't know, maybe she traveled there in order to just be a stable person.
This is my favorite comment. It says, steroids are a path to right-wing extremism. Why are they substances that are turning people into Nazis even legal?
What does this have to do with politics?
I have no idea.
We're just watching someone spiral into insanity. This has nothing to do with politics.
Yep.
That's bizarre that they would even say that.
I mean, that's just somebody who's got politics on the brain and doesn't know how to filter the world through any lens other than politics.
Yeah. So, I mean, Liver King had not even crossed my mind since the last time that we talked about him. And that's what most people considered to be his downfall, his fall from grace, because his followers lost trust in him. He was lying to his followers about his steroid use and giving them false advice about how to look like him. In reality, it was all a lie. And Netflix actually just put out a documentary, a retrospective on that scandal in, I think this was last month, where they were interviewing him and his family and getting the firsthand account of how that all went down. And it seems like ever since then, he's just been on a downward spiral.
The more novel version of this for him is to be like trying to fight Jamie. Don't call out Joe Rogan, call out Jamie.
If your name starts with a J and rhymes with Amy,
and you work for Joe Rogan,
and you work for someone whose name starts with a J and ends with Rogan,
put him up, and then everybody can be like, and then Jamie can be like, Joe, pull that up.
But I think Joe Rogan was alerted to these posts earlier this week and had to be the one to alert the police to it. I mean, maybe Joe Rogan should have just, squared up in the parking lot. Just put an end to this.
No way, man, because this guy died because he has a heart attack.
That's so true. The liabilities are crazy.
There's no way. So, look, this is a textbook example of also why social media fame is really bad for you.
Yeah.
Because there is a version of this, and I can't say for this one specifically, there are legit versions of this where it has nothing to do with drugs except for the drug of wanting to be famous and doing absolutely anything, your own kind of well-being be damned to get famous.
It's also interesting that he's blasting this soundtrack of dramatic music in all of his videos that he's listening to constantly. Like he thinks he's some kind of warlord from the Northman movie.
Maybe that's what it is. He saw the Northman and it's been all downhill since then.
Yeah. And I think it reminds me of...
he's like, look, I was born in the wrong generation.
You would think this wouldn't be as common because it's obviously not very common for people to go through like psychotic breaks in their lifetimes. But I've seen several examples of this in YouTubers and influencers in recent years. I mentioned Marina Joyce before we started the show. She was a YouTuber who just made videos about like makeup and fashion, and her followers slowly noticed that she was losing her mind. She was speaking in word salad, looking off into the distance and hallucinating, and later on took a break and came back and said she got diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And then that also reminded me of Gabby Hanna's psychotic breakdown, her manic episode that she went through. She was on Instagram live streams almost constantly throughout the entire thing, going on religious rants, also blasting music in her videos to the point where people could barely hear her, inviting strangers into her house. And the entire time people were just kind of dragging her and making fun of her.
Well, good thing for our audience. Apparently, it's not common, but it can happen to present for schizophrenia to present between 40 and 60. So I could still have my mental breakdown.
Well, it's most common in your 20s.
Yeah, like I think like up to the age of 26 is like when it usually presents. But hey, I think about that sometimes. Whenever you see people, it doesn't even have to be like a psychotic break, but every once in a while, you know, somebody that you follow goes on like a Twitter bender, where they're just kind of going off, and then it's so weird.
And you wonder, like, what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, it always ends up this novel thing where it just kind of stops one day and they go back to their normal life, but it is what it is.
It's just like, how can you get released from jail and then continue making threats online and not face any consequences for it?
Because
he's literally still posting threatening statements.
Because he's fighting for his family.
Now.
Because he's fighting for his family.
How are the police not able to take action on this?
He's like Dominic Toretto in the Fast and the Furious franchise. He's fighting for his family.
This was another video from Thursday. I'm here in Austin for one word, family. And he's referring to Joe Rogan as a bully who thought he was big enough to say things about a man and then tried to circulate and get more people to pile on. And he forgot about how that would affect the family, and things that weren't true were then disseminated in a movie seen by millions of people. He seems to be referring to the Netflix documentary. And I don't know, maybe there was a clip spliced in of Joe Rogan discussing the steroid scandal in the Netflix documentary. And then presumably Liver King watched it and in the midst of some kind of mental breakdown where he's detached from reality, seems to believe Joe Rogan is responsible for it.
The
AI,
he feels
he was misrepresented.
Somebody could make a fantastic AI episode of Joe Rogan and Liver King that could go super hard right now. That's all I'm saying.
It's bizarre.
All
I
right.
hope that he gets help, genuinely.
Let's hope. And I hope that it's something that he can come back from, because especially if it's drugs, it's a hard thing to kick, especially if your life is kind of taking a turn for the worse. But he's married, it looks like, so maybe his wife can help him turn it around.
I hope so. I don't know. She was in that arrest video and she didn't say anything, but I just wondered why she traveled with him.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day? We do have 2 cringes, so...
Let's do a little sandwich of cringe.
We'll do the cringe that I found last night first, which was...
all right.
This was...
Let's see it.
It says, when it's your lunch break, so you can finally age shift in peace.
What?
I'm thirsty. What? I want to show up.
Okay. I delete X for 1 week, and this is the shit that ends up in my algorithm on Instagram.
Look, I know it's satire, but it also doesn't even matter that it's satire. Like, that's still cringy that you would pretend to age regress.
Yep.
For clout.
All right, let's do cute of the day as well.
Okay.
This one's from Sandigan. Says, big boy and baby girl living the dream. Well, I'm assuming the one on the left is big boy and the one on the right is baby girl.
Very cute.
It's very cute. Our cats never do that.
Chloe
and Mocha would just as soon jump out a window than sleep on each other.
They reluctantly coexist.
Yeah. Chloe, so what usually happens is Chloe comes into the kitchen and Mocha jumps on top of a countertop to not have to interact with Chloe. And then what's happening now is Toast, because we allow Toast throughout the apartment, and Chloe will be in her little hot dog cart that she sleeps in, and Toast will just come up right next to it and lay down.
Because she wants to buy a hot dog.
She wants to hang out, and Chloe's like, "Get away from me."
She wants to buy one of Chloe's hot dogs.
What's
wrong
imagine
with that?
so. It's Chloe. I mean, Chloe isn't the most diligent worker you've ever seen. She spends a lot more time on break than she does actually working, but we give her a pass. All right, let's do cringe part 2 then. Here we go. It says she thought she did something here.
Why does a bus have 50 seats? And why does a Lamborghini have only 2? Because there are only a few successful people in this world that when they put their mind to something and they focus on something, that thing ends up resulting in...
She looks like she's like 11 years old.
their beautiful life. So don't ride the bus, because that's for a lot of people.
That's literally a quote from like the Manosphere.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've never heard it before.
That's literally something that you hear.
Oh,
yeah.
So the key to success
that's a crypto,
is renting a Lamborghini.
That's a crypto bro catchphrase, basically.
Cool. Yeah.
I like the song in the background.
I just love that she's like in middle school.
there is this like kid who's like 11 who's like, I've been up all night working on my businesses, and while you guys were out partying, I was grinding, which is why I'm gonna be in Dubai with Andrew Tate.
Like, bro, you have algebra homework due tomorrow. Come on now. Yeah. The key to becoming rich is renting a Lamborghini that you can't afford to buy.
That's very true.
Facts.
Let's get started.
All right. It appears that Dua Lipa is on a current world tour, and a stalker is following her to countless shows across the globe. So he keeps on pushing his way to the front row, to the barricade, and forcing Dua Lipa to interact with him, touch him, and take selfies with him. And it doesn't seem that she has taken the opportunity to tell this guy to back off. She has plenty of security that could deal with this guy if he is a threat. But multiple videos so far have shown her going up to him in the front row and having a personal interaction with him, which gives him a reward for his behavior. I want to show the first one from a show that was earlier this summer.
Okay, here we go.
He asks her to kiss him.
My heart screams love again. Please give you my one kiss to levitate. Love again. Please give you my one kiss
like
to
her
levitate.
face says it all. And everyone is booing him.
Guys, I got a show to put on.
Like, how do you get yourself out of that
Thank you
one?
so much.
Okay.
So she did end up taking a picture with him, but she did not kiss him like he asked, which is an absurd thing to request. There was another video from a recent show that has since been deleted where he brought a poster to the front row, which she then read out loud in front of the audience. And it was unclear. It wasn't very audible what she was saying, but there was some mention of her relationship status in the poster that he wrote for her, and he believes that he has a chance to date Dua Lipa.
We got two 20s here. One from Jon Stewart. Looks like it's no longer not that Jon Stewart, but Jon
hi,
Stewart.
Jon Stewart.
I have lost significant brain cells to this cringe.
We have another from Tim Hart. The show Bob's types are evolving. Well, we don't know much about this guy. I haven't been able to find any identifying information about him, but I do know his @ on X, One fan of hers said she's clearly uncomfortable. Her body language, her tone, everything shifted. The moment when you're trying to stay professional, but your soul has already checked out. A fan also took a picture of him when they were standing next to each other at the barricade in Wembley, and they can see he has 2 full-size portraits of Dua Lipa on his arms. He got these tattoos for her, and he also posted a full collage of his tattoos with 5 total portraits of her face on his arms and legs, and then also a paragraph quote from her. No matter where you come from or your background or what you believe in, never get in your way with you and your dreams because you deserve it. You can do anything that comes to mind, and no matter how hard you work, I really believe in you, Dua Lipa. He read that quote and he really took it to heart because
Wait, how the hell is the I and I really believe in you not capitalized?
He has made it his mission at this point to form a relationship with Dua Lipa, who clearly does not feel comfortable with his advances. And a fan also mentioned that he later had the nerve to trash Dua Lipa on social media, claiming that their interaction at her concert was minimal and he feels entitled to more. This was a rant that he posted on his account. I never sought fame and I never cared about it. I was chasing a dream called Dua Lipa. I've been following her for almost 9 years now, and I gave everything for her. Followed her in 21 shows this year alone. I'll do another 20 around the world, but people piss me off. And not only that, I donated my body to her. 9 tattoos just for her, and I'm put on par or below people who give her a jacket or a bracelet. A gift is a gift, but you have to give value to things because not everything is the same. I donated my body to her. I made an immense act of faith, more than anyone else, and I'm treated less and worse than people who do 0 for her. Not a post, repost, happiness, not a hug, nothing. Just a minimal thank you. The world is a really shitty place. I am one of the biggest fans of Dua Lipa. I have one of the strongest motivations for Dua Lipa. I am recognizable everywhere for everything I have done for Dua Lipa, but nobody gives me the credit that I deserve. On the contrary, it is better to give attention to people who see her once and who would not do even half as much for her. After all, our merits are given based on sympathies, not based on who really deserves it.
I've seen this movie and it never ends well.
Yeah. I'm guessing
this
every
genre,
pop star has someone like this.
This genre of movie is always allowed to end badly.
Mm-hmm.
There is no happy ending in this movie.
It has Selena vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should have gone to the Hailey Bieber school of stalking.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been more successful.
Could have been more subtle about it, at least. Yeah. But I'm guessing literally every mainstream pop star has at least one person, if not a handful of stalkers on this level of dedication and craziness. I mean, this guy has dedicated his
for a living.
He's like
to travel to all these concerts.
He's like a Dua Lipa deadhead. Yeah. He just follows her everywhere she goes, and somehow has the money to fund this. Or he's traveling across the world to get her attention.
He's like the evil version of WWE green shirt guy who's in the front row of all the events.
He's also getting into arguments with her fans who are calling him creepy online, and admitted that he is an evil genius. He said, if you keep talking about me, tomorrow you'll find yourselves in deep trouble. I am a cop, and I'll make you lose the desire to act like idiots. You'll find out what it means to be as stupid as you are. He followed that up saying, laugh now, and we'll have a couple of laughs very soon because envy hurts. Dua talks to me, she knows who I am and loves me. And you, who are you? Does she even remember you? Ha 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 ha. He thinks that Dua Lipa is in love with him, that there's some kind of mutual connection between the two of them. And her having friendly interactions with him just to seem nice and avoid a PR disaster has fed into his delusions. Yeah. Another fan of hers said, I've been in the Dua Lipa fandom for a few months and noticed how some men, mainly older ones, are towards her in her shows. Always extra touchy, even when she shows signs of discomfort. Sometimes they won't let go of her hand when she holds it. Some of them even touch her in places she clearly wouldn't want to be touched. Some have tattoos of her face, including this guy, on their body. It's very sad to me how women cannot feel safe in a place of work they're dedicated to. Dua is a kind person, so she doesn't call them out, but my heart breaks for her. She always gives her best to make sure everyone at the show is having a great time, and yet these men cross the line and overstep her boundaries. It's a representation of our society and how men will easily walk over a woman who is nice. It's truly insane. This is sad for fans, but I strongly think that the barricade interactions need to stop in the next leg of the tour. Her safety is important and can't keep being disregarded like this. She needs to stop going up to the fans at the barricade. That seems like a bad idea in general. And it's encouraging more of this behavior because he believes he's getting positive feedback from her in his deranged mind. That means that she's somehow interested back.
I remember there was a Criminal Minds episode with Amber Heard in it back in like the first season based on the idea of erotomania, and she was being stalked by someone in much the same way.
Yeah, being nice is never gonna be the answer. Like,
Oddly enough, Amber Heard would have been a great job playing a stalker, but she never did.
Yeah, that would have been a good role for her. And I think that Dua Lipa is going up to him over and over, trying to be polite because she believes that's the...
She doesn't recognize him,
She believes it's the professional thing to do. Mm-hmm. I think that she probably does remember the person who has multiple portraits of her on his arms.
Maybe it's time to implement that thing we were talking about the other day where you have to you have to actually give the money to the celebrity for the autograph.
Yeah, if you want the meet and greet experience, pay for it. But this guy should be blacklisted from every event she goes to. She should get a restraining order against this guy.
I'm sure for a certain period of time she didn't even recognize him until he became more vocal and noticeable.
I mean, you would think you'd at least remember the fact that he has 5 portraits of you on his body, and he's probably showing them to you every time that he sees her.
Oh, I don't know. That's like the most depressing thing I've ever thought of. Bro, like, he's mentally ill. He has to be mentally ill.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
He believes he's in a relationship with her. Yeah. That's why he's gloating to the other fans about how she doesn't even know them, and she knows me. She cares about me. I'm more important than
This is beyond
than you.
simping. In the chat, Mad Matt Maximus says, "Simps will simp." This is past simping.
Oh, it takes simping to a whole new criminal level. Yeah.
Simp on a blimp.
Yeah. Taylor Swift recently got a restraining order against her longtime stalker who was dumpster diving outside of her apartment. He showed up there over 20 times. He was just hanging around her address, hoping to have an encounter with her. Every pop star deals with this. You have endless resources. You have to do as much as possible to repel these people.
The tattoos look like they cost some money too because they're actually really well done.
This guy must be extremely wealthy if he's buying first row tickets to every Dua Lipa concert in the world and traveling the world while doing so and getting multiple full-size portraits of this woman on his body. Yeah, I don't know where his money comes from. He might be some kind of crypto billionaire. Who knows?
Family money, maybe.
But just endless resources to harass somebody into falling in love with you. It's not gonna work. And
he watches her scenes in Argyle every day.
It's just weird that, like, people grandstand about how celebrities need to be nice to their fans. They literally don't know who you are, you know? And any given one of those fans could be this guy. So you have to understand it from the point of view of the person who is famous. They shouldn't be having this personal, emotional connection with their fans because this is what it encourages. And I even see that just in Stan Twitter in general.
Yeah, Stan Twitter is one of the most disturbing places
They believe that they are entitled to your communication, and sometimes even worse.
All right, let's go to Super Chats. There's a 20 there.
Tim Hart said, Brett and Mary, what's the minimum number of tattoos from does a guy/gal need to get your attention?
What do you mean, like to notice that they have tattoos? I don't think it even crosses my mind.
I mean, I think they...
Like, what do you like? What
I think
do you
the
mean?
question is a tattoo of you.
Oh, what?
Which is, don't do that. The answer is never do that. That's
a
terrifying.
Idea. And if
I would hate for someone to tattoo an image of me on their body. That's horrifying. Yeah. Honestly, it just seems like it shouldn't be legal, but I know it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, but eventually you'll end up like coming, like the cops are gonna come to arrest some tattoo artist who does the work. He's like, bro, I don't know who Dua Lipa is. Do I look like I listen to Dua Lipa?
Yeah.
It's like I just thought he just gave me a portrait of a woman, said tattoo this picture on him.
Yikes. T-Dog said, apologies for my last DM. Hope you can forgive me. I have no idea what you're referring to.
Yeah. And if
I don't look at my DMs.
I'm assuming you're talking to Mary, but if you're talking to me, I've been off X for.
Do you read your DMs?
I try to if I get I don't get into the message request folder, but I try to stay up. I don't get a lot of DMs. Like I'm very like, you know, the people who, like, a lot of people at this company talk about how they get like the DMs. They're like, could you tell Tim this or tell Tim that? I don't get a lot of that.
I have.
People be leaving me alone. I appreciate it.
We're not going to ever, for the record, deliver messages to Tim for you. You got to call in on the after show if you want to say something.
Yep.
Dingus Khan
But don't be rude like the guy yesterday, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Be nice. Dingus Khan said, do you think they will call the next one F2 the sequel? Creativity is abound in Hollywood.
There's no way this movie gets a sequel. It doesn't need a sequel. It was made by the director from Top Gun Maverick and the writers from Top Gun Maverick, which is like, I laughed because while I was doing my, like, a little bit of background before I recorded the video, the guy who wrote this movie along with Joseph Kosinski, his name's Aaron Kruger, and he did this and he did Top Gun Maverick, which are both very, very good films. What did he do right before that? Dumbo in 2019 and all of the Transformers movies that everybody hates but me. He's on like a worldwide apology tour, making great movies now that he knows exactly what his bag is. But I don't think they're going to make a sequel to this. It wouldn't make any sense. It's a fantastic movie on its own. You should go see it, and you should actually watch my review after you see it. Or if you're not planning to go to the movies, you should go watch the review after this episode.
Top Gun Maverick was an ensouled movie.
This movie has much the same vibe. It's kind of down to the way that Brad Pitt gives this portrayal of like a weathered man out of time. That in the movie, he is a former F1 driver who quit after a horrendous crash like 30 years prior and went on to just race any other circuit he could, basically driver for hire. And an old friend of his who now owns an F1 team brings him in as basically a Hail Mary to finish off the season. Otherwise, he's going to lose the team. And it really does come down to this portrayal where he's not portrayed as like the guy who's like, you kids and your cell phones. I think he makes one comment to the other main actor who's supposed to be like the young hotshot driver, where he's like, you care too much about social media. You care too much about the reporters and all the noise. But he's not portrayed as like dumb, a fuddy-duddy. Like, he's in good shape. He takes care of himself. He does things his own way, and the team definitely does that to him.
Thank you.
And it's good, and it's really down to Brad Pitt's performance. I think it's I think that it's a hard line to write, because I think that what they probably would have done if this was a couple of years ago is the people that were mean to him wouldn't be proven wrong consistently like they are with his character, which is like, he wants to do these things that are out of pocket for the industry, but he keeps getting proven right because he's been racing for so long. And I feel like they would have made his character angrier a couple of years prior. But they don't do that. Also, the movie really comes down to like, they immerse you in the world of F1, which is like, to normal people like me who don't watch racing, you learn how much of it is about strategy and science.
They would have made his character more like, what is that guy's name? The one who was in Gran Turismo, the older character.
Oh, I don't remember the character's name.
And he was
David Harbour.
Yes, they would have made him more like.
But even he's great in that movie. Like,
yeah, they would have made him more grizzled.
He's pretty grizzled, but he's not. But he's like, there's something endearing about the fact that he consistently, like, he does these things that seem to make no sense, and everybody gets mad at him, and then it ends up working, and they all work towards this championship at the end. It's
or
great.
Like Johnny in the Cobra Kai series at the beginning.
Yeah, it could have very
old and out of
easily.
touch.
It could have very
I don't
easily.
get all these memes.
So, if I think by nature of the tone of the movie, that couldn't have happened because the movie would have had to have more of a comedic edge to it.
Yeah.
For that to be the thing. The funniest part about this movie is like in a movie where the racing scenes are absolutely insane. The camera work that are like these cameras that are attached to these cars going 200 miles an hour. The only scenes that stuck out as bad as far as CGI had nothing to do with the racing scenes. It was scenes that took place on a track after a victory because literally they just couldn't fill a track full of people. So they had to grab footage likely from actual events and then put them on a green screen. And it's still really, really well done, but it's funny that the only noticeable green screen work is not when they're racing. It's only when they're just at a building they likely, at like a racetrack, they couldn't fill or rent out and fill with people. So.
Shane H. Wilder said that caller was out of pocket. That's a good way to get banned from calling in since the questions are pre-screened. You handled him well. Well, I guess that must have meant he pretended to have a question when he was in the waiting room for it. So that's odd. Pop Culture Junkie said, had heard from Amazon source that really Nolan wanted the Bond gig, but wanted 100% creative control. Agree that Jonathan would be a great writer. I mean, if anyone has the right to demand creative control, I think it's someone like Christopher Nolan. But
yeah, like I said,
not willing to give it up.
If you entrust a movie to anyone, it's somebody like him. Yeah. In the chat, Fatty420 says, Brett, they shot the scenes during actual race weekends. This is not like the scene. It's hard to explain. Like maybe I'm wrong, but the scene definitely didn't have all of the kind of layers that look like would be there if it was real. Obviously the stuff on the tracks was real, and the stuff of them doing the diagnostics on the track was real. It's a one specific scene at the end when they're celebrating that just looked green screen to me. Maybe I'm wrong.
TX Goliath said 007 origin story should be Tom Holland versus Timothée Chalamet to become James Bond with Zendaya, I guess.
No. And then one of them has to become 006 like in GoldenEye. Do one more.
If Taron Egerton, expect a John Elton cameo. Is it Egerton or Edgerton?
It's Edgerton.
Okay.
All right,
I got confused because of Robert Eggers.
Let's hold on. That's who should make a James Bond horror movie from Eggers would be great.
Perfect.
All right, let's move on.
I'll admit that I indulged in my fair share of pearl clutching and hand wringing and finger wagging regarding the reveal of Sabrina Carpenter's new album cover for Man's Best Friend last week. She has now responded to the discourse about it and some of her fans who were unhappy with this objectifying portrayal of women with an alternate album cover, though she jokes is now approved by God. You can see in this post, it is a tribute to a famous photo of Marilyn Monroe. And she's definitely going for the pinup retro aesthetic. One of her fans said the hate Sabrina is getting is exactly the same hate that Marilyn Monroe used to get when she was alive. What's not clicking to you people? And the theory here is that Marilyn Monroe was scapegoated for being a sexually liberated woman at a sexually repressed time in American culture. And the debate and conversation around this whole album cover controversy has just become absolutely insurmountably stupid. I don't even have the patience for it. But Time published an op-ed about the original cover and titled it, I kid you not, Sabrina Carpenter is not the problem. Our lack of orgasms is.
Blech.
Like, I don't understand these people.
Yep.
Why do they think that we live in the 1940s? Like, if you could argue that back then we had a repressed culture, okay, maybe you could convince me of that. But in 2025, you're telling me that we live in a culture that represses sexuality instead of constantly shoving it down all of our throats? Are you serious? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be a tough sell. So I read through the op-ed, which is written by Taylor Crumpton at Time Magazine.
Crumpton.
Yeah, that's her actual name. And here is how she introduces it. America, we have a problem. No one is having sex anymore, with the exception of Gen X women. That's an odd.
I had no idea.
I didn't know Gen X women were the only people having sex anymore. There is a sharp decline in sexual activity across the nation. And I will be fair, statistically, Gen Z is less sexually active than any prior young adult generation. That is true. Then she goes on to blame Trump for this. The consistent attacks on birth control and reproductive rights, in addition to the rise of trad wives, have no doubt contributed to an environment in the United States where sex feels like not only a means to an end, a baby. What a bizarre idea. Having sex to reproduce the human race? That's wild. But also an inherently fearful act. Truth bomb, it is an inherently fearful act because it's the act that makes new humans. You're never going to surpass that. Like that is an inherently fearful act. It's why sex is imbued with risk for women. That's why women are so naturally risk averse.
And ironically enough, for men who are smart enough to understand the consequences of their actions would understand that there is a risk to them if they don't feel like they're in a position in their life to take on the responsibility of having a kid. Certainly every time you've ever been told by a woman, like if a woman's ever told you like, I'm late, I haven't had my period, and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there is risk involved.
It does not take an anthropologist or some sort of PhD expert to look at all of human history and understand that sex is costly for women. They know that pregnancy in the human species is longer term, that human beings naturally invest a far longer period to raising their young than all other species. And this is an inherently risky behavior to engage in for women who are the incubators of new human life.
But the thing is in the last however many decades between birth control and abortion, there hasn't been any perceived risk from society about any of that act because they can just kill the baby if they want. So it doesn't matter. The guy still had to have a certain amount of angst because she could decide to keep it and ask for child support. Right?
Well, the new reasons for anxiety surrounding sex have nothing to do with the natural risk of pregnancy and has everything to do with basically Gen Z being frigid, prudish, socially anxious and inept, and fearing relationships, commitment, and intimacy for their own reasons. But she continues, we do not live in a sexy economy. So when Sabrina Carpenter released the cover of Man's Best Friend, it was no surprise that she ruffled a few feathers and became yet another placeholder for America's sexual frustrations. So her idea is that Sabrina Carpenter is getting scapegoated for widespread sexual repression in America, which I think is patently ridiculous because if you look around at our culture today, it's hypersexual, if anything, and completely drained of actual libido. Then she explains why the controversy arose over the original cover, not the alternate cover. And she said some parents view Sabrina Carpenter as a bad role model for their children, citing one mom who said, Sabrina Carpenter is a bad influence on my 14-year-old daughter. She's a big fan of Sabrina Carpenter. I honestly thought she was great. All I knew was that she was a Disney Channel actor turned pop star, and I thought that was a good role model for my daughter to look up to. Keyword, thought. It started off innocently enough. The songs from the Emails I Can't Send album were relatively tame, especially compared to the more provocative tracks on Short and Sweet. One day, my daughter played the song Bedchem in the car, and I was in absolute disbelief. The lyrics caught me so off guard. I think they're far too grown up for my 14-year-old. I sat down and watched her latest music videos and Instagram posts. What I saw was someone who had transformed from a role model for young girls into a hyper-sexualized version of herself. Sabrina is an adult and free to express herself how she wants, but my daughter is only 14, and I'm sure there are even younger girls who are idolizing her. But if you listen to the perspective of the author of this piece, they think that this is a perfectly appropriate thing for children to be exposed to, and they think it's actually healthy. And if you push back on it, you're a prude and a Puritan. And Sabrina Carpenter herself has responded to those claims and said, well, I'm not the problem. You're the problem. You're obsessed with sex. That's why everything I do that's sexualized gets more attention. And they say she's not wrong. There is a lack of attention toward her acoustic songs, which are often simplified as compared to her exaggerated, risque acts engaging in role play with dancers. Think her Eiffel Tower reference at her Paris show. The latter is heavily documented and shared on social media platforms, while the former is rarely shown outside of her tour stops. And then they list other examples of pop stars in yesteryear who received similar backlash, including Janet Jackson, Madonna, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. They're talking about how Janet Jackson released Pleasure Principle when Ronald Reagan was in office, and how Madonna released her scandalous sex coffee table book during the George H.W. administration. And then they mention Spears and Christina Aguilera leaving the girl next door persona behind when George W. Bush was in office. They say sexism is not unique to the music industry, but the standards placed on women in the music industry are reflective of cultural norms of the era in which they're performing. The existence of conservatism, which is rampant as ever in President Donald Trump's second administration, runs in direct opposition to sex-positive pop stars. Are you telling me nobody ever got slut-shamed in the Clinton era? Even Clinton got slut-shamed.
I can think of one woman who got slut-shamed during the Clinton era.
What does this have to do with conservatism? I think that actually people across the political spectrum believe that we should have some baseline level of dignity and decency.
There's a 20 here from...
Frack.
18. Are you fracking?
Love the new Crisis Party song. Sorry for interrupting. I'll see myself out. No worries.
Toxmod says it sucks. Thanks for playing. Toxmod has been #1 hater of the new Crisis Party song since it came out. Thank you, Toxmod.
Although the majority of Americans are not having sex, the overt response to Sabrina Carpenter's album cover points out that perhaps they want to. But instead of being honest about their sexual desires, people pin their frustrations onto society's most visible, including pop stars.
So 20 here from Tim Hart says Donald Trump, noted Puritan.
Yeah, like what? Are we going to believe that Donald Trump is like the last... He's standing for sexual morality in the 21st century? He's on his, what, third wife? Okay, like, no, not even conservatives who voted for Trump believe this shit.
Nope.
The problem is not that she is emulating sex positions on stage or on her hands and knees in an album cover. It is neither an attempt to glamorize intimate partner violence nor an introductory 101 course on pub play. The problem is the federal actions that have been taken to defund and restrict access to sex education services in the U.S.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, I remember reading this article about why the later seasons of House of Cards were no longer enjoyable because Donald Trump was in office.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, look, this was great escapist entertainment during the Obama years, but now that we've got a dictator in office, now it's all too scary to be real. The problem being, of course, that, you know, disgusting bottom-feeding politicians have always existed. They existed during the Obama years. They've existed every year prior because politicians are awful. But when you're a political partisan, then suddenly everything is bad because there's a fascist in office.
Right, and the callbacks to the backlash thrown at other pop stars in previous eras was very cherry-picked because you need only look 10 years ago at Miley Cyrus's Wild phase, which was during the Obama years, and she was almost universally humiliated for what she did. And that had nothing to do with the administration at the time.
No, these types of things are Rorschach tests. It tells you what this person focuses on in their life. And increasingly, most people focus on politics, or more people focus on politics.
The problem is the nation's swing back to conservative idealism, which disproportionately and negatively impacts women, people of color, queer and trans people, all in the name of quote-unquote family values. You're a demon. The problem is we are farther away from making sex fun and pleasurable for women than we've ever been. You really mean that, like, in 2025 when we're selling dildos at CVS, that making sex fun for women is not important in our culture today? I think it's, like, actually the top priority of our culture. Not saying that that's a good thing. I deeply disagree with it. But, like, what planet are you on? She said, perhaps Sabrina Carpenter did not intend to be a participant in the ongoing culture war of sex and conservatism in the US when she released the cover art. Perhaps she is one of the few Americans not experiencing a sex recession. Good for her, but this album cover does feel like her attempt to participate in a cherished tradition for women in pop music. It is her declaration that women should have agency over their sexuality, just like so many pop stars have done before her. And there you have the admission that she is doing nothing original. She's just reheating the nachos of literally every other female pop star that came before her. Plus, she has no original thought. She's bringing, like, in a lot of ways, she brings up abortion and contraception, and that's the opposite of taking ownership of your actions. Yeah. Are we going to say that in an age where Olivia Rodrigo is giving Plan B to her child fans, we're not focused on sexual liberation for women as a culture? Yeah. The pushback on it is almost negligible. Yeah. Even from the right. This is nothing new from this generation. Like, you'd probably get more traction on the right talking about how Taylor Swift is demonic than how Sabrina Carpenter is like a bad role model. Like, we cover it and a couple of other people cover it because it interests you and a couple of other people. Other than that, this stuff is par for the course. And this person making it about policy just shows that that's where their attention is. Intersectional feminism and how it relates back to government here in America. Well, as long as this author is bringing up previous examples of pop stars getting slut-shamed, there is, for the record, nothing to celebrate about the fact that Christina Aguilera released Genie in a Bottle in 1999 when she was 18 years old, a song that, by the way, was written by a committee of 3 adults much older than her, not her. It was not an expression of her sexual liberation. It had nothing to do with her. She didn't write that song. She performed it because she knew that sex would sell. It has nothing to do with empowerment. It never did, and it still doesn't today. Anyway, she concludes, the Man's Best Friend cover art revealed a deep truth in our insecure American consciousness. The inability to engage in healthy sexual behaviors, which is exacerbated by the influx of conservative content on social media, which makes women who are confident in their sexual desires the subject of unfair criticism and attack. It's scary to them just because of how free it looks. Yeah. When we see a pride parade in San Francisco with gay men leading each other around fully naked on leashes, pissing in each other's mouths, what we're afraid of is how free they are. Yes, that's what we're afraid of. It's really because we're jealous. I mean, that's just like, I cannot engage with an argument this disingenuous. It's just a straw man argument. Yeah. And it's from someone whose peak priority and the core of their entire worldview is infant sacrifice. That's really what it is. They're like, why aren't you celebrating my ability to sacrifice babies to Moloch? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, that just seems like a you problem. All right, let's go super chats. Sorry, I just had to go on a little rant. We have the next super chat from I Like Boobies. See, you know, there's a pretty politically neutral expression of sexuality. There you go. Why the Ceiling Bird Sings is what... Oh, I already read that one earlier. The next one was from Shane H. Wilder. If we can learn anything from Liver King, stay off steroids, HGH, and meth, kids. Cue the more you know graphic and jingle. Yes. Yeah. It's good advice. Shane H. Wilder said Liver King is confined to his hotel, which from the video, it looks like he's staying at the Lauren Hotel or Hyatt Regency south of Lady Bird Lake. Wow, you really know the area. You should go find Liver King and just ask him what's going on. Maybe like DoorDash him something.
Interview him.
Omega Red Fan said Austin has some kind of pyramid scheme cult going on. I hope Liver learns to let go. Austin does have dark vibes. I don't think him staying in Austin is going to do anything positive for his mental state. I felt this like dark energy. Every time I visited DC, people say like, oh, DC is so evil. You can feel it in the air, all the swamp people. But no, I've never felt that way. I've always enjoyed myself in DC, but the one time I visited Austin, it felt dark. Like there was some really negative vibes in the air. Tim Hart said...
I hate DC.
I love DC.
Can't stand DC.
Tim Hart said, arachnophobic, you must secretly want to boink spiders. Yeah, I mean, obviously, right? You're projecting onto the spiders if you have arachnophobia. You're actually sexually attracted to them.
Reminds me of that scene from the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when Casey Jones doesn't want to sleep in the sewer and Donatello says, you're a claustrophobic. He goes, I've never even looked at another guy.
Not that Jon Stewart said, I have lost significant brain cells to this cringe. You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's the least we can do on a Friday.
Do one more.
Went full R word said, I'll have to step my game up, Mary.
In relation to what?
I don't know.
But okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on.
Okay. Lately, I've been making a lot of content about the fashion trends that are gaining traction with Gen Z, and most of them are utterly nightmarish and atrocious. And I think the entire point of these trends actually is to look as slovenly and ugly as possible. Not only is it the baggy jeans, which we've been seeing for a while, the bleached eyebrow trend where you try to look like an alien. I think the irony of it all is that Gen Z engages in these niche fashion trends, these so-called micro trends that originate online in an attempt to seem cutting edge and unique. And then when you actually see people wearing the trends in real life, they look like clones, as you can see in this photo. Just a bunch of Gen Z women.
You'll never find another me.
Yeah, these are the girls who say that after a breakup, you're never going to find another girl like me.
Okay, by the way...
All of them, for those listening rather than watching, are wearing the exact same outfit of the baggy jeans, the baggy mom jeans, and the tight black top.
No, they're not baggy jeans. They're baggy light blue jeans.
Oh, and they're all light wash jeans. And they also are wearing the white sneakers to match.
Every time I see this,
it's all the same. Yep. They don't know how to dress themselves. They have a uniform. And they're the ones that supposedly care the most about self-expression, right?
There's the boys.
Yeah, this is the guys' version.
By the way,
they're all wearing... is that the Patagonia coat?
Yeah.
With the khakis and the white shoes.
Sorry to say it, ladies, but it's
and
different
the broccoli hair.
It's different for guys.
They all have broccoli hair. Look at that. They even have the matching haircuts to match. It's just like the natural way of things. And there's nothing new about this. I compared this to the infamous Adidas Sambas photo from back in 2015-ish. All the girls at the time, as you can see, they wore the skinny jeans or the leggings with the denim jacket and the Adidas Sambas. And they're like, I'm not like other girls.
It's the meme
This is the 2025 version of that.
It's the meme of all the women in the vests, and it says if all the spellings of Ashley was a photo.
Yes. No, they all the girls who, as soon as autumn begins, start dressing like Han Solo. Yeah. Like, they just have a uniform. There's nothing wrong with that. But
here it is.
You know, yes, exactly. This is Christian Girl Autumn.
Yes.
And I don't have a problem with people following trends. I really don't. I'll criticize the trend just on its own merits. But here's the thing. If I have some criticism for the jorts and the wife beater shirts and you know, the ugly keychains and the weird makeup that makes you look like an alien, or the Birkenstocks and the Crocs and everyone's wearing, I get told that I'm not letting anyone enjoy anything, and I'm actually a monster, and I'm taking away their ability to express themselves with their fashion. No one in these photos is expressing themselves. That's fine. You don't have to express yourself. It's fine. But if the argument is that they're using fashion as a form of self-expression, which takes away my ability to criticize it, that argument just completely crumbled in front of our faces.
Well, also, like, it's not about expressing yourself. It's about, like, putting yourself out there in a way where you actually feel good about yourself. If these ladies feel good wearing the baggy blue jeans and the black shirt, that's what it is. But it's not like some unique form of self-expression. That's the most self-aggrandizing thing I've ever heard.
I'm just like, you're not, if you're dressing like literally everyone else, you're not expressing yourself. You're expressing something that was fed to you on your TikTok For You page algorithm.
Yeah.
Which is, again, not a moral failure on your part, but don't tell me what to say about it. Like, I can have my opinions. They're just giving me more power, you know?
Yeah.
Like, me criticizing it doesn't take away from your ability to enjoy dressing like an idiot. But if it actually did have that effect and I shamed you out of wearing baggy jeans, I say that's great and I'm happy about it because I want to have power over you. But I wanted to go through a larger list of Gen Z fashion trends, which supposedly are the most hated by millennials. Millennials don't have a lot of room to talk. They have their own fashion trends that I would criticize as well. But there are many that I agree with on this list.
Okay.
They first off mention the awful mullet mustache combo that men are wearing these days, specifically Gen Z men. I just never want to see this again.
Pedro Pascal
I can't
does
escape
that
it.
too.
I can't escape it. They're all clones. Dressing like a slob no matter the occasion, wearing pajamas everywhere, the airport, the mall, the supermarket, etc. Literally, they roll out of bed and go out. It's trashy.
I mean, isn't the whole point of that, like, now supposed to be like, I don't want attention from men. When I wear nice clothes, I get catcalled. Therefore, I have to dress in an awful way to repel. It's men repellent.
The weird thing about that is if you are lazy and wear athleisure to the grocery store, men will pay attention to you. So it's the same level of comfort and laziness.
It's form-fitting, though. They're talking about baggy clothes that you wear to bed.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
not the
know.
same
Most
thing.
of these people are just defending their right to dress comfortably no matter what. Then
That's me.
this is an awful one. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I definitely have seen this in the wild. Gen Z women mostly are wearing pimple patches, the hydrocolloid patches on their faces in public.
I've never seen that.
These things work. Use them at home. Just sleep in them and take them off in the morning. But it's a weird statement about, like, I don't care what anyone thinks of my acne. I'm going to highlight it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of indicative of where we've gone as a culture, where 20 years ago they made harrowing movies about, you know, despite your flaws, you should just own them. And instead of being like, finding like a middle ground where it's like you're okay with how you look, we had to start like shoving it in everyone's faces that we were okay with how we looked, rather than just kind of finding a neutral territory in the middle.
And people will say, oh no, I wear the pimple patches because I'm trying to treat the acne. Well, if it were only about that, you would get the ones that are almost invisible. There are plenty of them that are completely clear. But they get the ones that are brightly colored and shaped like hearts and stars and rainbows.
Wait, so we went through all this work to get Band-Aids of different colors so that everybody could match to their skin tone, only to now wear like a Scooby-Doo Band-Aid because it's a form of self-expression?
Yeah.
How far we've fallen.
Yeezys with mismatched socks. Guys my age wear them. This is from a Zoomer. Birkenstocks, especially with socks. I've been noticing this more and more. People wearing Birkenstocks, suede clogs, just out and about in the world. And they say it's because they're comfortable. I don't care. It looks like there are potatoes on your feet. Mom jeans are an obvious one. There has been a shift, though. All of the jeans are baggy, but the low-rise baggy jeans are in trend right now. Instead of the mom jeans.
For like the 8 skinny people.
Yeah, but it still doesn't even look good on them. So I don't get it. Millennials are hopping on board, but they are now bleaching their eyebrows, looking like Lord Voldemort.
Like, I'm not gonna, like, I don't even go out unless I absolutely have to in shorts. I wear long pants all the time. Like, I don't even go out in shorts because I don't like how it looks.
But would you ever consider hopping on the trend of short shorts for men?
No.
Because I've been seeing that nonstop, like men wearing basically booty shorts in public.
Wouldn't work.
And I'm like, are you trying to get hit on by other guys?
Yes, they are.
Like, even straight men are doing this, and they expect not to have sexual advances from gay men in public. Yeah, crop tops can be done right, can be done wrong, but it's impossible to shop for anything that doesn't have your belly hanging out these days. The slicked back buns, which are part of the clean girl aesthetic.
Okay.
I have a friend who calls them the don't F me bun. And the chunky platform loafers. They're also wearing socks over leggings. I've seen that a lot. Like, they're not just wearing leggings as pants, but
they wear white socks over the
white
black
socks.
leggings. I mean, that's fine.
Over the leggings. It's just, it looks uncomfortable. Fanny packs are definitely one that I hate. I've been seeing men mostly wearing the fanny packs, but they strap it around their shoulder diagonally instead of around the waist. I've seen that on like Post Malone and a lot of rappers.
Plenty of people who carry one there.
Yeah, most of the people wearing the fanny pack are just like doing so for fashion purposes.
But there is a one that you use to carry a firearm.
This isn't necessarily fashion, but the long acrylic nails. And this is one where I can admit that I'm guilty. I used to get super long fake nails, and I hopped on that trend, and I gave up because it was injuring me. And there is also the barrel jeans, the barrel leg jeans, which make you look like a corporate Memphis character.
Wearing shorts outside for attention when it's cold, that's a Minnesota thing. Usually it's instead of wearing long pants in a short sleeve shirt, you wear regular shorts in a long sleeve shirt.
They're like, bro, it's not even cold out. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I knew like so many guys in middle school who did that, but I was hoping they grew out of it by the time they were adults.
Usually you only grow more into that.
Yeah. Pulling your shorts or pants all the way up your butt crack. There are even the fitness leggings that have a ruched seam in the butt crack area to make it appear as if it's up your butt crack, but it's not. And the only purpose of that is trying to get people to stare at your ass. I've also said there is no circumstance you should be wearing flesh-toned leggings.
Yeah.
You are a psychopath. You should be arrested and put on the sex offender registry for that. And they also mention wearing a full face of makeup, caked on makeup, but wearing a hoodie or pajama pants with it. I don't know why I see that so often.
Yeah.
It's like, if the goal is to not get attention for how you look, why are you wearing false eyelashes with pajamas? The oversized sneakers, otherwise known as the dad sneakers. There are countless others. I've already made content about most of these trends so far, but I even have a growing list. I'm not even done yet that I still want to hate on, and people just get so offended about it. Okay. For instance, can you look this one up? They're called split toe shoes. Okay. They'll probably come up. They're women's shoes that are literally shaped like a camel toe. They separate your toes inside the shoe. Can you pull up an example of that for us?
Yes.
Disturbing.
Actually, what they look like is if you were like a ninja, part of the Foot Clan in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you'd have feet that look like that.
This is awful. I hate everything about this. I also hate the Apple Watches as an accessory.
Wait, why?
It's just, it ruins any outfit that you're wearing. And then people think that they can change the strap of their Apple Watch depending on the occasion. Like, oh, I'm going to a wedding. I'll switch out the strap of my Apple Watch for the leather one. Still not acceptable.
Higher end.
Absolutely not. I also wanted to hate on the animal toe shoes. Could you look up those? They're actually arguably more disturbing than the split toe shoes because it's an imprint of your toes that's already built into the shoe. as if it's a sock.
That is disturbing.
That's like a more extreme example. Do you have a different one?
Yep.
Okay, like that. It's supposed to look like the imprint of an animal paw inside your high heels. It's just like, how can we be as disturbing as possible? Like man-made horrors beyond your comprehension. And you might think that this is niche, but I have seen plenty, most if not all of these trends in real life.
It's disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen most of these, but maybe I'm just not paying close attention.
I mean, that makes sense. You're not paying attention to women's outfits, but you have noticed the baggy jeans, and I know you have.
Yeah.
Baggy jean derangement syndrome, which I completely agree with.
I have oversized pajama in public derangement syndrome.
Yeah, you see that a lot.
For the most part, when I like won't go outside without like.
Oh my gosh! The other day I saw this. I don't understand why. Like, what could possess you to do this? I saw a white man.
Okay.
At the grocery store, wearing not a do-rag, but like a bonnet, like a hair bonnet around his head that is used by black women to protect their hair. A white man was wearing this. I was just like, what is wrong with you? Who told you that that was acceptable?
I don't know.
And there's also literally no practical reason you could possibly do that. And for anyone, really, if you're wearing a bonnet over your head out in public, have some self-respect, okay? Just, what's the point of doing anything to your hair if you're not going to show it to people in public? Bizarre. But yeah, you see a lot of people going around in their pajama pants and Crocs these days. It's just like, how can you communicate to the world that you think that you're trash?
Yeah.
And expect people not to treat you like trash, which is the most ridiculously entitled part.
It's
I dread to think what's being worn on college campuses these days.
Well, it's just all the pajamas. It's just the pajamas to an even worse extent.
I know.
Yeah.
Sickening.
All right, let's finish the super chats. Also, let's get to a third crisis party. We're getting very close.
Shane H. Wilder said, "You're not wrong, Mary. Downtown Austin is dark AF. I live on the outskirts, so I can get the hell out of Dodge quick when the hippie zombies rise up." Yeah, when we were visiting Austin in 2023, I wasn't present for this, but I'm thankful that I wasn't part of the group. They were walking around downtown Austin, and there was just a homeless guy literally throwing his shit at people. Like, I don't know, like, I guess if you call the cops, they're not going to do anything, so he's just allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Watch out, Shane. It's not a safe place. Pop Culture Junkie said, "I was around for the original mullet mustache period. Hell, I didn't like it then." Yeah, not something that needed to make a comeback. Not at all. I don't support it. Shane H. Wilder said, "The mullet mustache combo makes these dudes look like a gay Tom Selleck. The reason Tom Selleck can get away with it is because he has testosterone." Yeah. A lot of the guys with the mullet mustache combo are the
short shorts too.
Lowest T bug men that are in our society today. And it also just tells everyone that you have zero personality. Mm-hmm. You just see what other men are doing and you want to get a girlfriend and you copy them. I think that's kind of lame.
And Tom Selleck also wore the short shorts and got away with it.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Are these split-toed and animal-toed shoes for furries? Whatever happened to normal clothes? Thanks, I hate it." The animal toes definitely have more furry vibes. The split toes are mainstream. And no hate, but friend of the show, Andrea Mew, did actually wear split-toe shoes. You just didn't see them because you see us from the waist up on the show.
There's the meme.
I can't read
it. Says, "You will lose a lot of friends in life when you get serious about your life goals. That's why a Lamborghini has 2 seats and a bus has 30.
Yeah, don't
50,
ride the bus.
Sorry.
Don't ride the bus. It's for poor people. And if you're poor, you should rent a Lamborghini to show people that you're successful.
Correct.
We have a 20 from Tim Hart. "Bring back powdered wigs and tricorn hats."
Is that like a Revolutionary War
that?
thing? I think I know what he's talking about here.
I've never seen this. Oh, I see. The 3 pointed hat. That was
Yep, that was exactly what I was thinking of. I mean, doesn't Styx Hexenhammer wear a hat like that now when he does his videos? I'm pretty sure he does. Something
Seriously?
similar. Something like that. Revolutionary
That's a
War
choice.
chic.
That's a choice. I don't know about the powdered wigs though. It seems a little unsanitary. Maybe we're gonna bring back wooden teeth next.
Yeah.
Veneers have gotten quite popular. The influencers are all getting veneers. We have a currency I don't recognize without a message from Tardigrade. I don't know.
I don't know what that.
Now that your usernames are showing up on screen instead of your screen names, I'm not going to have an easy time pronouncing all of them.
That's Norwegian krone.
Oh, okay. So yesterday we were getting Swedish krone.
Yep.
And today we have Norwegian.
Thank you.
We have quite the eclectic audience all over the globe. We have another from Shane H. Wilder. The one time I took public transportation to an event in downtown Austin, I saw two bums fight over a crack pipe. I said never again after that. Yeah, that's not something that you want to get in the middle of.
Like in all of the time that I didn't have a car, which was for a very long time back, the last 10 years I was in Minnesota, I worked close to where I live, so I walked or biked to get everywhere because they're where I wasn't in the city, so there really wasn't bus lines out that way anyways. So I never had to use it. Decoy Voice is in the chat. What's up?
Oh, hi Decoy Voice. How are you?
How you doing, buddy?
I bet business is booming.
I literally said that. I was like, I wonder if we're in protest season, so summer is protest season.
Jay Klein said, I thought of a fun question. Mary, pick one. Would you rather become a theater camp director or chair of the DNC?
She would rather be a theater camp director.
Why do you say that?
So you can be mean to everybody.
So that I can bully theater kids?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Toughen them up a little bit.
I don't like adult, grown-up theater kids, but if they're actual children theater kids, I would feel guilty for making fun of them.
Okay, a theater camp director for adults.
Yeah, then I would absolutely brutalize them. But I think I would actually choose chair of the DNC.
What would you do?
Because everyone's been talking about how the DNC is up in the air right now. What do they want to communicate? What is the message? What is the platform? What are the aesthetics? I can just make all of the decisions for them. And I am going to completely transform the Democratic Party into
Zoran
Zoran
Mamdani party.
No. All of my opinions, because they can't decide.
Yeah.
I'll just make it all about what Mary wants. And that will be that then will replace the Republican Party. The Republican Party will be the left wing. I see this as a plan.
I mean, it's kind of already like that now anyways with big tent policy.
I'll also bump my salary because in the DNC you just get to do that. No questions asked.
Well, no, because Act Blue got gutted, so they've got no way to pay you.
Well, the chair of the DNC did just surreptitiously give himself a raise at the very start of his term. So, I mean, I think it's just up to their discretion.
Love that.
High Voltage 75 said, Mary, why you want to go to North Korea? Really? North Korea? Doing research for your future dictatorship?
Thank you.
No comment.
No comment?
I mean, okay, you can't lie. The idea of going to North Korea as a tourist, that is fascinating. Just objectively. Right?
Not really.
You wouldn't find it interesting to go to North Korea?
Not
come on.
Okay, there, the light reset. I was worried about that. Yeah, I guess. I mean, what would be the number one thing you'd want to visit there or would want to learn from being there?
Honestly, I think I just wanted to have conversations with North Koreans, even if they're lying to me. Not even to try to get anyone in trouble. I would never want to coax anyone into saying something that
You're
they
like,
shouldn't
oh,
say.
Man, he's kind of a dick, isn't he?
Because that could ruin their life.
Yeah.
So I was not planning on, like, I wasn't planning on anything, if we're being real. But, like, it would never be my intention to
get anybody in trouble.
Get anyone in trouble whose life depends on it. But, I mean, it's undeniable. Like, that would be an unforgettable experience. I would love to see the inside of this country that people know so little about. And, I guess it's probably never going to happen because it's illegal for Americans to go there. But yeah, I wasn't joking. Like, I did want to go there as a tourist. Shane H. Wilder said, okay, chair of the DNC or chair of the CCP?
I mean, does it really matter to be the chair of the CCP if you're not
who gets
the
to be
supreme
the chair
leader?
of the CCP?
Wait, is that like what they call Xi Jinping?
Is he? Who? Okay, let me look it up. Is Xi Jinping's title technically president, though?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's president.
Yeah, it says that he's the chairman of the CCP.
So do you want to oust Xi Jinping and take over?
Yes.
Yeah. Make cheap exports even cheaper.
First off, I'm going to end production of all Labubus.
First and foremost.
Yeah, that will be my #1 priority as the CCP chairman. I'm going to make a diplomatic trip to North Korea because I can do that if I'm Chinese.
I would make John Cena apologize again.
I'm going to take John Cena prisoner.
Yeah.
Make him a political prisoner and the ambassador to the U.S.
And I would greenlit Moonfall 2 with Roland Emmerich by funding Moonfall 2. That's what I would do.
We're going to ramp up cultural exports. We're going to ramp up the Chinese film industry and start exporting Chinese movies to the West.
Like, those are some funny budget, or some funny money. Like, this movie made $2 billion this year.
If I were in charge of the Chinese film industry, though, like, I think that I could make some movies that Americans genuinely want to see.
We had a Rumble rant from the local Wendigo. Said, wearing Renaissance Festival linen as I do woodwork in this heat is a lifesaver.
Linen is nice for the summer.
Deep South EDC says, Mary is the chairman of the PCC.
We're co-chairman.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a chairwoman,
Yes,
I guess.
you wouldn't be a chairman.
Yeah. And then we have another 10 Norwegian... What did you say it was? Crohn's? Kroner?
Crohn's is a disease.
Not Crohn's. Kroner.
I think it's just Crohn.
Without a message
I think it's just Crohn.
It's from tardigrade. I don't know.
It's definitely not Crohn's.
How to say
You don't
your
want
name.
Crohn's disease.
No.
Yeah.
But I still don't know how much that is in USD.
I would
Thank
also,
you anyway.
you know what you do? If you go to China, you make them do a really, really good version of Mulan.
Ooh. Yeah, we could just redo it.
Yeah.
Make a version that people actually want to see.
That would be good. North Korea, Mary is now officially crazy.
Oh, and if I were chair of the CCP, I would immediately end all religious persecution of Christians in China, and we would make Catholicism our national religion.
Yeah.
Overnight.
There you go. Just.
Yeah. There are actually a lot of Christians in China. They just don't report those numbers, but it is still growing because of the persecution, not despite. We have a $5 super chat from We Heart Filipino Food.
Yep.
LOL, doesn't AI Shih Tzu for a username anymore. Brett, will you watch your review on F1 the movie after watching film with sons? 20-year fan of F1, worth it?
I think it's worth going to see. I really do.
I'm so sad we're not going to be able to see the screen names anymore.
Yeah. Maybe it'll change
Sucks.
back. Oh, actually, let me see. Does it? No,
You can't even see it
no,
on
I can't
someone's
see
profile.
it on the profile. I was hoping I'd be able to see it there. Yeah, it's worth it. And again, I wasn't a fan of F1, but the way that they explain the science behind the way the cars are developed, which is woven into the plot, and the idea behind competitive driving and strategy is really, really good. It's a really great way to immerse yourself in this world that you otherwise would have no real intellectual access to because it wouldn't make sense to you. But it's a great movie. The crashes in it are bonkers.
How does it compare to Gran Turismo?
It's a better movie than Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo was just like
I loved Gran Turismo. This
non-stop Sony product placement the entire time.
I'm a character guy, so this has a better I loved the story, the general plot of that film because it is about overcoming and being the first to do something and making his place in the industry. But this has a stronger interpersonal character element that is a good emotional through line for the film. So I recommend going to see it.
Yeah, I guess in Gran Turismo, he's like a newcomer.
Well, in Gran Turismo, nobody had actually gone to racing after, learning on sim.
Yeah.
Which was that's an interesting story in and of itself, but I thought and again, Brad Pitt does a fantastic job of really bringing the character to life with a good amount of emotional resonance, so.
Shane H. Wilder said they still have leprosy in North Korea, not cutesy, not demure. Although I'm all down for making China a Catholic theocracy. I didn't know that. That's a little scary.
B. Hammer says F1 stinks. The same drivers always win. That seemed to be like a through line in the movie. It was like Lamborghini or Red Bull. It's always the same teams are always winning every race.
High Voltage 75 said, so mandatory mass for 1.4 billion people. Well, just because it's a Catholic theocracy doesn't mean we're going to force people into church at gunpoint. We're just not going to kill people for their religious beliefs anymore. And on an official basis, it will be a Catholic country. There are actually many Catholics in China and Christians in general. They have their own version of the Catholic Church in China, which is dubious how connected they are to the Vatican because the state has such control over religious practices there. But I think we would thrive.
Also,
it's all coming together.
In the movie, I was kind of iffy on Javier Bardem's character early on, but he really nails it as the film goes on in a great way. The bad guy, who's like a board member, like you just know from the moment you see this Weasley dude that he's going to be a piece of shit. He's really great.
Does he have like those typical glasses that evil businessmen have in movies?
No, he's just got a squirrely quality about him. He looks like as soon as he gets done telling you something, he goes and talks shit about you behind your back. Like, because he works the board.
Who's the actor?
I can look it up. He's you'll see him and you'll be like, my gosh, that guy does look squirrely.
It reminds me of the record label guy from your description, the record label executive in the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies. Who's like using them to make money off of them.
This guy? Yes, it's this guy. He's just squirrely looking, okay? In the movie,
I don't think wait, just go closer to his face. I want to see his face.
You gotta find I wonder if there's any stills of him from the movie. Hold on, let me see if we can find a still of him from the movie.
He doesn't look squirrely
to me on first glance. He's absolutely squirrely. That is a boardroom member that will screw you over in 10 seconds. He's not powerful. He doesn't have the handsomeness of a dude who plays the chairman of the board. He's a squirrely dude who screws you over by voting against something that he previously agreed to vote with you on.
They should have had Scooter Braun play this
that
character.
would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been fitting. Evan King said, can you help bring Winnie the Pooh back to China? That's right. They banned Winnie the Pooh from China.
Would you then re-implement?
We would not only re-implement.
He'd become the
Winnie the Pooh. He would be the national mascot, and we would have showings of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey in theaters.
That is perfect.
They didn't get to enjoy that movie over in China.
It's sad too, because you'd think that they would fund a movie like that.
MM3 Anderson said, "Let's talk about USS Pueblo."
How about the USS Liberty?
I don't even know what that is. I can't keep up anymore.
How about the USS Liberty? That's what we want.
Someone last night said that Phil is to blame for the USS Liberty.
Like a super chat?
And he was like asking all these questions. I was like, come on. You know. Don't play dumb now. You know that you're responsible.
It was all his fault.
You know what you did.
It was all his fault. I was like looking for photos. There aren't any photos of this guy being actively squirrely. It's very hard to capture his nature unless you're actually watching the movie.
What is your take on the categorizations of people as animals? Like for men, they have different types of handsome. So Ryan Gosling, for instance, he's described as eagle handsome. Henry Cavill is described as bear handsome. Heath Ledger is described as dog handsome, and Timothy Chalamet is described
rat
as
handsome.
Not rat handsome, snake handsome, I think. Serpent.
I mean, it's a universally
You
understood
see it.
mnemonic. Yeah, like it makes sense, but I object to ever doing that. Even if it makes sense, I object to ever doing it.
I'm trying to think of which one you would be. Maybe dog?
I'm fine with dog handsome. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Turtle.
Turtle handsome.
Yeah, that's me.
I haven't seen that one before.
Wait, what? Who was the first one? Not Henry Cavill before Henry Cavill?
Ryan Gosling, he's eagle handsome. I mean, he does look like an
Then
eagle.
what's Jake Gyllenhaal?
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Because to me, they're the same person.
Jake Gyllenhaal would probably go somewhere between the eagle and snake.
Okay.
It's hard to tell with that one.
I started making a list of actors who are the same people. I don't make the rules. They're the same person. And I think of, those aren't the only ones. I should have started keeping a list, but it's when you, like, there are actors who ostensibly, they're just the same person. Not even just that they look alike, but their demeanor is similar.
They serve the same purpose.
Yeah, they get the same roles when they're in movies and stuff like that. But
The categories for women, though, are cat pretty, fox pretty, deer pretty, and what was it? Cat, fox, deer, and bunny.
wait, why do women get less insulting?
I don't think that the male ones were insulting.
Damn, I don't have that list. I thought I had that list.
So,
at
like,
some point.
for instance, Sydney Sweeney got categorized as bunny pretty. Because it just means, like, you look most like that animal.
Okay.
But Megan Fox got, or like someone like Angelina Jolie.
Wait, what was Megan Fox? Isn't Fox? Okay,
no, they're
yeah.
in the Fox
Okay.
category.
Oh, good. I'll take Badger. I'll be Badger handsome, or Platypus handsome, or Capybara handsome.
You can't just make up new categories.
I'm
You have
making
to
up
go
mine.
by the handsome compass. You can't just make this a free for all. MM3 Anderson said that is the point. USS Pueblo is more important than the USS Liberty. Also, why did my name change? I am Corey Anderson. Brett, never not be you.
I have no idea why the name change thing started. It was not us.
Yeah.
We did not do that.
It's YouTube's fault, just like everything else is.
They just hate us. I do like the videos of the capybara with the emo haircut singing emo songs, though.
Tonight will be the night
There's
that I
a-
will fall for you.
We're like in the middle of watching the finale of something, and I just like pause it to show Olivia like a capybara singing an emo song. She's like, "I'm watching this."
Don't make me change my mind.
And I'm like, "What do you mean? This can wait. You got to watch this video here. It was like
It's
literally
important.
a capybara on the top of a camel singing an emo song."
There are horses too, the emo horses with the emo
Yeah, with
swoop.
the hair-
I
yeah.
love it.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Is Turtle handsome?" Dana Carvey in Master of Disguise.
I mean, I get compared to Dana Carvey in Wayne's World, so
You
maybe
do.
that makes sense.
I've seen that comparison multiple times.
All right, guys. Let's see. We get through all of them.
I think so, unless there's another on Rumble.
I think that's. Let me just double check, make sure that we caught everything. We did. All right. Oh, somebody in the chat on Rumble says that they're chicken handsome or porcupine.
Okay.
There you go.
I don't know how to imagine what that looks like. I hope it's a compliment to yourself.
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, if you want to follow me, Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms, I would like you to go check out my review for F1, which I put up at about 2 p.m. today. I say this because I won't be back on X for at least a couple of days, so I can't actually... I wanted to go and talk about the movie last night, and I couldn't do it, so I had to post it on Instagram instead, and nobody on Instagram wants to talk about movies, so go ahead and check out that video. It's on this channel. And again, at Brett Dasovic on Instagram and X. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you guys would like to listen rather than watch the show, you can rate and review as well on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which also helps out the channel. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisispod. I think there's one more there.
Corey Anderson wants to know, what is your favorite emo band?
Wasn't my genre. Do you have a favorite emo band?
It's hard to tell what people categorize as an emo band, like what will pass the purity test on that.
Yeah.
People get very particular about what belongs in a certain genre, but like The Used is pretty great. I just wouldn't say that they're like my favorite anything.
Would Taking Back Sunday fall into that category?
Yeah, I think so. That's a safe guess. I like Taking Back Sunday too.
I had a soft spot for Taking Back Sunday back in the day, more because my friends listened to it, not so much that I went and sought out that genre of music. But they're pretty good.
Because you're a happy person.
That's exactly right.
That's why.
All right, guys, we will be back with another episode on Monday. We will see y'all then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.